His name was Doc. He literally designed and embroidered the patches. A beautiful soul. Like, to me, was the epitome of what a Hell's Angel was. Like, so many times, dude, I would just go up there just to hear him, just to listen. I'd sit with him on his porch or go into the shop and to listen to this man just spit game and drop knowledge and just educate you on just life, and life in the club. And
What happened with Doc? Why is he no longer in the club?
I heard that he 52 years and is no longer a member. Which had it been I've been in my normal mood, I would have shed tears, bro, when I heard that he was put out of the club, because that man is a national treasure. It hurt my heart. 52 years. You don't make it that long, and everything that the club's been through, and not do something for the club.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because just before him, another member from Daly City was put out bad, and he had over 60. And it's like right there, two men, you have over 110 years of Hell's Angeling, just poof, gone. No longer able to pass on the history that they. I mean, he's like, Doc's forgotten more than I've ever learned about the club.
Yeah.
Just that is priceless when it comes to the longevity. I mean, every empire has fallen because at some point they stop caring. You know, it's and once you stop caring and you stop having old men teaching young men to be warriors, you get a chink in the armor. And of course, I know you asked how it came about, or why. Of course, my information is just, even when you get out of the club, you're not allowed to not keep your ear to the streets. The streets don't let your ear go.
Uh-huh.
You know that. Everybody knows that. Everybody that's tried to become a father and step away knows it's right there on your coattails. Everybody's still, I know you're not in the club anymore, but hey, did you hear? Yeah, I heard that. Oh, what'd you think about? It's like nothing ever changed. So it's just scuttlebutt. It's not even third hand. It's fourth hand. It just
Yeah.
what you hear from the streets, and it was a unfortunate situation of another brother in his charter had an issue with his 68-year-old brother having a relationship with his mother. Hey, I get it. I mean, somebody's got to f your mom, though.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, if you want to just be real about it. And I'd almost imagine that it was a very awkward position to put the charter in, because it's one of those anomalies the word it just does never. I couldn't imagine anybody ever thought of this scenario coming about and how to handle it. It's always, if a brother has an issue with you and his family, his sister, you know, just leave it alone. Respect the brother. You don't f a brother's old lady. You don't f with his family. If a brother
Right.
has an issue with it, or because the family comes around, and if the sister's out there, the brother's gonna. I mean, he's gonna be real with it. She's out there. Hey, whatever. I just don't tell me about it. But she's a grown woman. She does her own thing.
Right.
But that respect is to be known there. But what do you do when it's the mother? Does a son control what a mom can do in her life?
Well, not just that. Doc, with 52 years in, is an older man. And then this club member, his mother, is obviously an older
Older
woman.
woman.
And they put him out for that.
Yes. Well, to tie it together, from what I have heard, it was a situation where the brother said, "Hey, Doc, I'm really, not into this. I have no skin in the game, and I can see it from both sides. I don't want my mom at the events if I was still a member. But
100%.
but how'd they meet? Obviously, she was coming around. I mean, it's not like Doc was, giving a ride home and playing catch with him because his dad wasn't around. Like,
Right.
the relationship built from somewhere, and I can almost guarantee, without even speaking to him, that Doc didn't go to his emergency call list and be like, "Oh yeah, let me hit your mom up now."
Right.
It happened organically, like it does when you're in your late 60s. So Doc respectfully was like, "I'm sorry, but you know I can't honor that request of yours. Like I said, I can see it from both sides. If I'm a 68-year-old man and I found something that I feel is, I can only imagine that at that age, you don't think Doc knew what was on the line, or what the turmoil it could cause? I'm sure not assuming that it would be to the extent that it was, because
Right.
it probably was never talked about. But he knew that what was at risk, as most do when you go into a relationship with somebody that is a part of somebody that you're consider a brother. So I don't think I wouldn't think, and nothing Doc does is half-hearted. So I couldn't assume that homeboy's mom was just getting tossed, right?
Right.
So, and like I said, at that age, now you're looking for a graveyard, or a cemetery partner.
Mm-hmm.
Not looking for a buddy. You're not looking for a ride or die. Look, somebody to finish the, bring it in home with, do our last couple laps with, and just have some happiness at the end. It was I respectfully, but I can't honor that. And um, but here's the twist at the end that you always get with them true crime stories. The individual that had an issue with this stepped away from the club 3 weeks prior, before they put Doc out of the club. And if and like I said, this is all fourth hand, so I don't even know if this is legit or true or not. You know, so it's got to be taken. I got to make it clear that this, take it with a, what is it, a grain of salt. But if this is how it, if this is the route and exactly how it came about and it happened, you're telling me that somebody was put out bad from the club over something that is a super rare anomaly that would take a lot of heads to sit down and think about, how do
Yeah.
we even make a rule for this? Because does the son make the rules for the mom?
Right.
That's where you start, and nobody can give a concrete answer on that. And then secondly, what are we doing here? We're throwing out somebody who has 52 years in the club over somebody who left 3 weeks ago, is no longer a member. Like, are we
Right.
doing this for integrity now? There's a lot of different places that the club can tie up some loose ends, and make some loopholes, or some bad that happens not be happening anymore, versus throwing out somebody who has 52 years in the club because of a relationship with someone who's no longer in the club either.
Pee Wee left the club because of George and his antics, right? George turned out to be a government witness. Now you've lost a real Hell's Angel over George and his bullshit.
So,
Be-
funny story.
And,
I've
and
George
having,
was a member in my charter when I was a prospect, and a lot of things just, if it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, and walks like a duck, it's not a mongoose. You know what I'm saying? So, I
well,
mean,
even in the end, the guy who was behind you leaving the club is now a state witness, or a government witness in Sonoma, Fresno, in that case.
hmm, huh,
So that dude politicked on you. Uh,
that's. I mean, you can't even write a script on this. I'm telling you,
mm-mm.
the I would like look myself in the mirror and be like, dude, did you cast it out too far and just didn't reel it in this time? Like, are you firing on all cylinders up there? Because am I on punk? Like, is this a Stockton version of punk? Like, some of the you're just like, everybody else is seeing this, right? Because
Yeah,
I'm really not trusting what I'm seeing right now, because this is
it's crazy.
the path to hell is paved in good intentions.
Mm.
I had the right intentions, well, and that's why I say that my situation was a uncorrected misunderstanding that everybody can understand. That I mean, if you spent any time in life and done any type of socializing, you've been in a situation of where, when you found out, you know like, the butler did it, those type
Yeah,
of
yeah,
scenarios, you're like, oh, I would have never ever seen it that way. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? I have a lot of fault in my situation, because I didn't, I guess, address what I could have understood as a couple of misunderstandings, but also there was a lot of people trying to play puppeteer in it too.
So I'll break this to the people in here. Angelo's rise through the club was one of those meteoric, just, phew. But that made him a lot of enemies within the club, because why is he getting shown all this love and I got 30 years in the club. And that started to really uh, become your downfall.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a very weird dynamic that I was not ready for. Nothing, I mean, nothing in life would have ever been able to prepare me for the labyrinth of just madness that you
Yeah.
have to navigate, because the men the men in the club, hands down, are the most super alpha males you'll ever meet in life. Every single member is a shot caller. Every single member ran his hood. Every single member, I mean, this is all-star weekend every day of the week. My president, when I was prospecting, bro, one of the most intelligent men I've ever met in my life. And just as a leader, it was a stud, man. Like, you could see that even though the decisions that he would make, because on the road, making decisions, you can see when it was a conflict of what he may have wanted or what he wanted to do, but never once in my eyes that I was around him ever did anything that was more beneficial to himself and wasn't about the club. Just,
Right.
you
Like
know,
Doc. Like
yeah,
Doc.
like Doc. And it just, I had, I mean, to this day, have so much respect for him. And, but when I look back on our quote unquote relationship, when you're a prospect, you got to earn 100% vote. And I feel like when I had to go get everybody else's vote, it kind of may have killed our friendship, because George was a part of that charter. And, you know,
Yeah.
the membership may have known stuff that I didn't know as a prospect, but I'm just trying to get a vote, you
Yeah.
know,
Now you're being friendly with George, who they're looking at like,
and then it's like, oh, as he pulled into it too, there's always a bit of paranoia,
mm-hmm.
because Rico, I mean, they're giving out football numbers for
Yes.
nothing, for nothing. So,
Yeah.
you know, I can get it. I can understand that. Oh man, I like this kid. He would be a good member. Oh, wait, he may not be playing for the home team. Let's not, let our guard down.
Mm-hmm.
I get it, So, but it just sucks because, the respect I have for the man doesn't honor the friendship that ended up not being as what it could have been. It just you make a member of the club. You can't be looking up to people. It's one man, one vote.
Right.
Because they looked at as a follower. You're just going to vote with them. Stand on your own too. May come up with your own biases, your own decisions. Don't ride coattails. And it's a very, very, very mentally exhausting juggling act to just that alone, just to maintain 52 years in the club. Juggling it would
Yeah.
be wild. Because every single person is a superstar in their perspective
Well,
situation.
not just that. You had becoming a member of the Nomads, California. You have dudes like Festus, and you know what I'm saying, like legit
Legends.
legends of the Hells Angels. And these are the dudes that are schooling you to the club. These are the dudes who you have to politic to because you need their vote to get in. These are the dudes, and then you have George, who, you have all these different personalities and all their that's going on. That's a minefield to step through.
And one thing people, I don't think, you hear about somebody infiltrating the club, or trying to, like they have federal agents in their club. Not saying specifically the Hell's Angels, but you hear about it all the time that, oh, the feds infiltrated, the Mongols or Vagos or whatever. What
Hmm.
people don't understand is they're not, like, these alphabet agencies aren't just like there to just listen. What they're doing is they sit in the back and they stir in
Yeah.
the pot. Hey, why the Hell's Angels pushing up on our area all the time?
Right.
Man, I seen 3 more Hell's Angels in our area the next week. This is what we're gonna do. That's what we're allowing now.
Yeah.
That's what you guys are about now.
Right.
Just poking the bear, and then it's like, yeah, no, that ain't what we're about. And then other members are like, yeah, that ain't. Let's go ride. And then all of a sudden, died the whole charter on and uh, uh, acts of violence,
Right.
and just wrapped up 17 men because of something like that's almost like entrapment. That's like an entrapment situation. But how is that okay? Like,
Look at what the feds did to Maniac from the Vagos. Like that was a complete entrapment. It was like you're over here minding your own business, but this Fed comes along with all these little money making schemes and this is and that, and it's
yeah,
like
it's like how can you break the law to get dirt on a criminal? It
and
is,
and be behind the entire idea. They
yeah,
they will literally have the scheme. It's their scheme, and then they try and charge you with it. It's like, whoa. Anthony, he says he's only heard of the one Fed that was patched in the 80s. They tried to say that, what's that?
Jay Dobbins.
J.
No,
Dobbins.
no one that was a federal agent ever patched into the club.
Exactly. And J. Dobbins
Members have rolled on the club and became federal informants, but no one has ever
gone from hang around to a
like
patch. Member.
were a government
Yeah,
employee
right,
and tried to come around the club. You know,
right.
they have that. I think um, Amazon Prime has that dude. I can't remember his name, but he did the Vagos, Outlaws, and Pagans. I think he did like 3 clubs
Oh,
where,
yeah. I saw that on the History Channel.
and then went on witness protection, and then got tired of that life because the life he was living before, and started running with the Outlaws, and
Mm,
like I think he has a book too, like his time in those 3 clubs. But as far as I'm aware, it's never been. It's always been someone who's rolled.
yeah,
Which when you got 12 eggs in a bag, they shake it hard enough, one of them's gonna crack.
that's what's going on with the Chosen Few thing with those Wheels of Soul. Like 30 people were involved in this uh, death of one of the Chosen Few. You think 30 dudes? Look, I don't trust 3 dudes.
29 other dudes to keep their mouth shut. That's
Yeah,
why the moon conspiracy isn't a conspiracy. Too many people were involved. That's that whole 3 man can keep a secret if 2 of them are dead.
yes,
You're telling me the moon is a conspiracy, and all this time 80 plus people have been able to keep that secret? Come on.
right,
You
right,
can't even keep a secret yourself. Like, no
right.
one, just come on. There's that we can just chalk it up as we know better.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But, it's funny. There's a longtime member that is in the Purdue Charter. One time at an officers meeting said something that just, I mean, everybody laughed, but it was life altering that, hearing it. He said, because they were talking, technology and trying to stay one step ahead and get encryption and all that stuff. And finally, this old school member just steps up and goes, "You know what? Been in the club 40 plus, whatever, 40 plus years. And since day one, it's always been, if you're up to your nose and it's best to keep your mouth shut." And I was like, right the on. Like, we can debate what technology is best and how we can encrypt it and all that. But you know what? Nothing's better than just, I don't
Yeah.
know. I didn't see. I have nothing to say.
Right. Right. It's crazy and as technology goes, like in the Vegas case with Rizzo, I'm pretty sure that when they raided the clubhouse, they also bugged the clubhouse. And then that's how they turned around and indicted the other like 6 people in that indictment.
Oh, they got the, see, I don't get that because I mean I haven't read in. I mean, like I said, when you're not around the club, it's like an X. I'm not scanning my ex's Instagram. I try to keep, like, I get enough brought to me. I try to keep. It's better for my mental health and my stress levels to not, because I'm worried about men that I care about that I can't help and even talk to. So it's not. It's just beneficial that I stay away from it as much as possible. But it has always, 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 always been a common opinion that the clubhouse isn't where you talk because they're all bugged. It's always just assumed that every single clubhouse is bugged.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, so I don't understand, and that's right there why kicking somebody out that has 52 years in the club is not a good move.
One of the worst stories of somebody being taken out of the club is your story. Uh, you want to share that one?
Yeah, I mean, I am. I'm not I'm not. I mean, even though this is my story, I try to keep everything more of on a general situation. But yeah, it's it's disheartening on it because, like I said, it's just been a lot of I think it was a lot of misunderstandings that mixed in with people expecting outcomes or expecting what they're asking for to come about. But I wouldn't say it's one of the I mean, like I told you, I feel like I left the club and I'm satisfied with my time in the club, and I left it better than I came into it. I never took I didn't take from it. I gave more than I took, and I'm happy with it. It just, I guess it just wasn't meant for I was gonna die in the club. That was my intentions. So it's disheartening, but I can't chalk it up for a one of the worst situations to have come about. Just because I look up to a lot of like Doc's situation, it just I had 7 years total around the club and was devastated by one day in, one and then the next day out. I couldn't imagine 52 years.
The politicking behind you, though. Uh,
Yeah, and a lot of it. I mean, once you're gone, you don't learn. I mean, you don't. There's no how that story turned out.
right.
You know, isn't as apparent as with mine. Like
I've
you know,
talked to club members from other charters that knew that something had happened and that you were taken out, but they did not know why. And of course, there's going to be mudslinging and all of this.
and that's the crazy thing is I've never had someone come to me with the information or the opinion of
Mm-mm.
that I would consider mudslinging. Like
No, they've
it
never
always
done
came to
that.
me like, "Hey, I heard this, and that you're out of the club, and this was what I was told. Why?" And it just doesn't make sense as to why. Can you clear it up? And I go, honestly, I really can't. I am not too sure,
Oh, yeah,
but I respect it because that's the decision that the men made at that time. It's just I don't think it was rightfully informed on everything. Like I think the decision was made very quickly, and I don't know how to phrase that, but I guess telling the story will explain it better. I'm sure as you've been able to, and everybody can see is my opinion on the club is not in a negative sense. Yes, I was kicked out of the club and I'm out bad, and I've had the federal agents, follow me to my kids' um, schools, sit out front of my house, ask me to roll on the club. I've been quote unquote recruited by other clubs that are the other teams of the Hells Angels, and it's just I would never roll in the club. I would never turn on the men in the club, even the ones that voted me out. It's because when you become a Hell's Angel, no one made you were born one.
yeah,
You were just born with the characteristics that's the what you evolved into. That was
right.
your Pokemon. That's the Pokemon you were. That remains true. I'm still me. I'm still who I was when I came around the club, who I was in the club, when I left the club, and that was one of the things that I hate using the high school terms of popular, but you can just tell the difference when someone is a genuine, just has genuine love for like the brotherhood. And I brought from the military where brotherhood is really built, in combat and stuff to the club.
Yeah,
I missed my time in the military. I was medically retired. I'm a only child, no brothers growing up, and what I didn't have anymore in the military, I wanted from the club, and I got it from the club and loved it. And it can be misinterpreted as you're trying to politic to become something bigger because although it isn't a pyramid scheme in the club, you can earn some status in the club to where you know you can get become the president of your charter,
yes,
and maybe the president that's the president now isn't ready to let go of the reins, but because it's a popularity situation for the most part because it's one man one vote, it's really easy to feel like you're being sneaky, you're trying to do something when
hmm,
everything I ever did, everything I was ever asked to help with, everything, I mean, every hour, every minute, every second I put into the club was just for over amounts of love for the club. It was, I never wanted any notoriety. I, wasn't looking to write a book, wasn't looking to be anybody in the club. I just wanted to give my all. And that's what I did. And, you know, and no one, it wasn't even like I required anybody else to, like, it wasn't like, hey, if I can get all this done, why can't you just do the basic shit you're supposed to do? It was like, if you can't do that, brother, let me know. I'll help you out.
Yeah.
And that was the downfall for me too in my first year. Because not that there's a probation period, but when you're a first year member, you got a lot of eyes on you. Even though you've made it, it's like, how's he gonna, what's he gonna do with it? And I became a victim of, and I think I heard you use it in a video about Wes. You become that I'll do it person. What I can't remember the term you used, but
Like a torpedo.
like a torpedo. Yeah, like just always like I got my plates overflowing. But hey, if you can't get that one thing that you need to get done, I'll do my best to help you out. I'll get it done for you.
Yeah.
And when you do that, and then try to rely on like your prospective members to help you in the way, the littlest things that you come short on when you said you do it, there ain't no accepting of you did your best.
Right.
It's either you did it or you didn't. I
Mhm.
learned the hard way, or not the hard way, but you're either going to be smart, or you're going to be smart or strong. I learned the strong way, the hard headed way of stop taking on other people's. Let them do their thing. If they don't get it done, that's on them. It's not your job. You're overflowing yourself, and instead of turning in 3 pristine done jobs, you're turning in 10 mediocre to subpar ones.
Yeah.
You're not doing. It's understandable what you're trying to do and what your intentions are, but you're coming up short.
Yeah.
Stop. And that was a very hard thing for me to, because in the military, if I'm shot, you're shot, and you can't walk, we got 3 legs still.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like if I got $20 and you got 5, we got $25.
Yeah.
That's just the mentality I brought into everything. It's always us against the world, and it's sometimes you have to stop, and like, that bird can't swim, or if that kid can't swim, he's bound to drown. Like Snoop said, sometimes you gotta let little birdie swim, drown, because people are never gonna get exposed, and they're gonna be allowed to be mediocre because you're always helping them along. You're always handicapping them. So once I got over that little hump, I seen a route that I could be a benefit to, with technology and helping the club not stay stagnant in the way information was passed around it, but also wanted to, with the encryption coming out and stuff. And I was asked by a member I love to this day that, hey, I've heard that you're pretty, what you did in the military tech wise, you might be able to help with this. Do you mind? And do you mind turning into, you're my,
Mm.
shadow to, you're my replacement now, and to become the West Coast secretary, and had no issue with it, and didn't think there would be an issue with anybody in my charter with it. But you know, you learn your lessons in blood that, hey, I should have asked my room. I should have spoke to my guys. Hey, hindsight now looking at it, at the time, I'm gonna be honest. I didn't understand why people had an issue with me doing this. What I mean, I'm doing this. I'm not. But you know what? I was exposing the charter. I was bringing eyes on the charter to where if I f***ed up, the nomads,
Yeah.
and that's not acceptable when you're a top 5 charter. When it comes to the lineage of charters coming about in the club. Like we're not a 1-year charter. This is we're 55 years deep.
Right.
You don't just go wing it up there, and so hindsight, I get why there was some animosity with me, not, again, my immaturity on it. Just, you're not gonna tell me what to do. I'm a Hell's Angel, one man, one vote. I can decide to do,
Yeah.
and they weren't trying to tell me what to do. It was just, a heads up would have been nice, a conversation would have been nice. The yes and no still fell on me.
Yeah.
But you know if you're not filling in a needed role in the charter, why are you stepping up to the whole West Coast and taking on that? Like,
Right. And so everybody knows, the Hells Angels is a little bit different in their structure. Like,
it's not a pyramid scheme like the other clubs run, to where there's a shot caller at the top that trickles down to his generals what he wants done.
right. But in the
Yeah.
Hells Angels, there's like a regional secretary. And so West Coast would be the regional, basically. So they moved you up to secretary of the West Coast because of what you were doing with bringing them into the 21st century, basically,
Well, that's
technological.
and I'm not going to say it was all just happenstance because I was excited and, you know, was willing to accept the job. And the brother that had brought me on board to help him with the technology and then brought me into Shadow, like, I mean, he had been doing the job for over a decade. And honestly, riding that long, like he had some stuff that he needed to take care of personally, surgeries at home, his charter. But you can't just, I mean, it's you can't just say, I don't want to do this no more, because you've committed to it.
Yeah.
So to allow, I mean, I loved him so much that I was glad to be able to allow him to get done what he needs to do, get done personally, because he gave so much to the club.
Right.
That's just what you do, you know. Sit down, OG. You've done enough for us. Let us young bucks handle it.
Yeah.
Let the young bloods, carry on the torch. And that's where my mind was, not taking into consideration my own charter back home. You know,
Right. And
just
you're
it,
30 years old in one of the highest positions on the West Coast.
yeah. I mean, not that it's a rank situation, but when it comes to officer meetings, the ones that go there are the ones that are truly invested into the progression of the club. I
Right.
mean, you're talking about cornerstone members of, everyone there that has a voice that speaks up is someone in the club on another level. Like
Yeah.
when they speak, they're they're heard, and opinions aren't. It isn't somebody that's just winging it, shooting from the hip. It's
Yeah.
someone that's thoroughly invested into the club. And as the secretary, you're preparing the information and distributing the information from these meetings to these men that, I'm just going to be honest, is very intimidating. I mean, I was a man, a grown man, husband, father, warrior, but almost felt like I was pushed back into a kid role
Mm-hmm.
when it came to these men.
Yeah.
Like my chest was puffed out, but their shoes were still a lot bigger than mine were. Like I still had some time to feel it, and so I'm supposed to prepare these. The secretary basically prepares the meeting for these men, and it was definitely intimidating. It was definitely and then going to the lion's den type of scenario, and
So,
in that way, it's kind of a position, but it wasn't. It was still one man, one vote. So it wasn't like basically what like okay. So the breakdown of a charter of the club. You have a president, you have a vice president, you have a secretary, treasurer. Like the treasurer really matters because you're in charge of the money of the charter. But to say that a president of a Hell's Angel charter is something is really not. It's basically that because it's one man, one vote, and not all, like Oakland, for instance, has like 40 plus members. All of them 40 plus members can't just go walking around representing the voice of Oakland. So
right.
they vote somebody in that they feel is the best person that can articulate and voice in the best way what this charter wants and is saying. And so that you're basically a liaison or a mouthpiece for your charter in that position.
Right.
It's still one man, one vote. It's all of the drags of having a higher position without the vacations and the pensions and the OT. It's you're putting in work and still getting the same pay. So
Right.
um,
So somebody asked the circumstance behind the exact reason they used to remove you.
so in my first year and a half, I took on a lot of stuff. I torpedoed. Hey,
Mm.
I'll take the prospects and go to the run. Y'all, if nobody else wants to go, cool, it's fine. You know, and going to a south run in Arizona, um, I mean, long story short, I mean, we went from, I left Stockton to Yavapai. I don't know if Yavapai is an actual city or a county, or I think it's a city out there, but you know, through all the heat and stuff, and then just coming into the run site, um, as I was brought up as a prospect, that if you come upon another charter, there's militarious type how you merge into a pack,
Right.
which being told this by, from the men that were raising me as a prospect and what I seen on the road were two different things. And again, hindsight's 2020. I should have gone more with what you see on the road. But coming into a run site, what would be cooler than to merge in with a couple other charters? I mean, California's coming in strong into Arizona. Just looking at it. And so the way it rolls is you come up on a pack, it's members, prospects, hangarounds. That's the order of, and so if you're coming up on a charter, you're not going to pass the charter. You can hang back, but then you're behind all of their chase vehicles, all of the people they brought with them, their guests. So the other option is to merge in to the pack, and the way that works is all the members. So like say I had 5 members with me, and I was leading the pack. It would be me, and then my 4 other members would go to the last member in that pack, fall in line. Their prospects would back up, let us in, and then all my prospects would fall behind the prospects already in the pack, and so on and so forth, right? And so that's what I did. And
This is who I was, but it's definitely not who I am.